So let's discuss it like a concept. Okay. So I hope you would have heard this word efflux, right? So what does this mean? If suppose there is a liquid that is filled inside a container and a small hole is made inside the container at a certain height from the bottom. Okay. It is made at a certain height from the bottom. Let's say that height is y1 and the liquid is filled to a height of y2. Okay. So this H stands for the depth of the liquid column below this, before that hole. Okay. Now the question is, if I take the topmost surface area of cross section as A2 and the area of cross section of the small opening as A1, my interest of study is what is the velocity with which the liquid is going to come out from the hole. So for that, how do we start? So you guys tell me, how do we proceed with this? Listen. Yeah. Guys, tell me, how do we proceed? So tell me the idea. If suppose this is given as a problem to you guys, okay? Let's say there is a container inside which there is liquid. There is liquid which is filled to this height. Okay. So our interest of study is to calculate the velocity with which the liquid is coming out from here. So how do you want me to proceed? Tell me. Here, one important note to be made is the area of cross section at the top point, that is A2, is very much greater than A1. This is an important note. Okay, tell me, how do we proceed? So wherever you see liquids which are flowing, if it is an ideal fluid, you can directly write the equation A1V1 is equal to A2V2. Okay, such that what can I say about the relations A2 by A1 is equal to V1 divided by V2. Or I can write it like this: A1 by A2 is equal to V2 by V1. Sorry, A1 by A2 is equal to V2 divided by V1. Since A2 is very much greater than A1, can I conclude that A1 by A2 is approximately 0? Right. So when it is approximately 0, what is going to happen? When I substitute 0 here, it will be V2 by V1. From this, we can conclude that V2 is approximately 0. So what is happening here is, though the liquid column at the top is moving down, its velocity can be ignored. That is an important point to be noted here. Okay. Now tell me, how do we apply Bernoulli's theorem here? Guys, how do I apply it?
At point 1, total energy is equal to at point 2.
Yes. Total energy per unit volume. Don't forget that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Total energy per unit volume. So, pressure at 1 plus, tell me, half
Half rho V1 square,
rho V1 square plus
rho G H1,
rho G. What is the value of H1? H1, is it height or depth?
depth, no, sir.
It is height. Okay. So, there are two formulas. See, two places you will see rho G H. Okay. I just want to stress on this point. You would have seen this as a pressure varying with respect to depth. You guys remember this? In fluid statics, the pressure varying with respect to depth is given as rho G H. Here also you are using rho GH, but here rho GH is not pressure, rather it is potential energy per unit volume. Guys are able to understand. That is why you are able to dimensionally add these two parameters. So here H, so potential energy is always measured with respect to the base. So what should I write? Rho G into, so this is 1. This is 1.
Y1.
That's right. It is Y1 is equal to, what is the pressure at point 2? It is P plus half rho into V2 square plus rho G into Y2. Right? Now tell me what will happen. So pressure at point 1 is atmospheric pressure. So atmospheric pressure plus half rho V1 square plus rho G into Y1 is equal to, the pressure at point 2 is atmospheric pressure plus half into rho into, how much is this? Here the kinetic
0.
energy is 0 plus rho G into Y2. Right? So both the places I wrote PA. No. Pressure at point 2 is P only. It is not atmospheric pressure because here it is closed. It is not exposed to the atmosphere. If that is the case, then I can write half rho V1 square is equal to P plus rho G into Y2 minus Y1 minus PA. Or I can write it as P minus PA plus rho G into Y2 minus Y1. This is half rho V1 square. So what is the value of V1, guys? 2 into P minus PA plus rho G into, look at the diagram and tell me what is the difference between Y2 and Y1.
H, sir.
It is H. So H, you have another row here. Sorry. The whole divided by rho. Correct? So V1 will be equal to square root of 2 into P minus PA plus rho GH, the whole divided by rho. Right? If P is equal to PA, means if this surface is also exposed to the atmosphere, then what would have happened? That implies V1 is equal to square root of 2 into 0 plus 2 into rho GH divided by rho. So you will have root of 2GH. This is another formula that can be used provided the top portion is also exposed to atmosphere. Guys, are you clear with this concept?
So heading and then?
It's called speed of efflux, or we can call it as Torricelli's law of efflux. So efflux means the liquid that is coming out. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Some books refer to it as speed of efflux also. So if they ask you what is the speed of efflux, going forward, you should say root of 2GH. This is very much similar to what formula? Or what formula? It is similar to an object freely falling under the influence of gravity. Right? But the only difference is in the case of kinematics, the value of H is height. Whereas in the case of speed of efflux, the H is depth. So please make a clear note of it. Okay, or else you will definitely use it in a wrong way. Am I clear?
So potential energy ki always height from ground, sir.
Yeah, potential energy, it is always referred. In this, see, that is how we have derived this equation. Actually, on a derivation solli tharla, but see, I'll show you. When you take this, no, H1 and H2 in the case of derivation would have been the heights from the bottom to the center of mass of that particular portion. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other confusions? Is there any other clarification that you want me to give? Okay. Right, shall I move on? Listen. A 2019 problem, it is based on this concept. Can you guys try? Water flows into a large tank. See, it is from the same paper which I gave you. I just took these questions and kept it ready. It's the 5th question from the worksheet I shared with you. Water flows into a large tank with a flat bottom at a rate of 10 power minus 4 meter cube per second. Okay. Next. Water is also leaking out of a hole of area 1 centimeter square at its bottom. If the height of the water in the tank remains steady, then this height is equal to what? Okay. I hope you guys understood the question. There is a large tank. Okay. And the large tank has a small hole at the bottom. And the area of this hole is how much? Area is 1 centimeter square. Liquid is coming out of it. And there is water falling into this also at some rate. Okay. They are trying to say that the height of this column is a constant. They are saying H is constant. Right? If that has to be constant, what should be the value of if the height of the water in the tank remains constant, then this, okay, then we need to find what this height is. How to proceed? Tell me. So what is the logic you are getting? When can this be the same? Logically, when can this height remain the same?
When the water going out is equal to the water entering.
Exactly. So the outlet is equal to the inlet. Whatever is coming in, the rate at which the water is coming in should be the rate at which the water should leave. Okay. Here, when I say rate, it is a rate of volume that I'm trying to talk about. But rate of volume is also spoken by which equation? It is spoken by the equation of continuity. So what I'm trying to say is, here they have used the word rate of something 10 power minus 4 meter cube per second. So indirectly, what have they given you? They have given you the product of area of this cross section into the velocity with which the liquid is falling at the topmost point. That is how much? dV by dt is equal to, can I write it as A2 into V2? Where this is A2 into V2. Correct, Ada? Any doubt in this?
No, sir.
If a dV by dt is 10 power minus 4 is equal to the area through which the liquid is coming out is 1 centimeter square. So here it is in terms of meter cube. So I'll convert it to meter, 10 power minus 4 meter square into, now tell me the logic of how to bring this height in terms of velocity. So the liquid which is coming out here is efflux. So just now we saw the formula. What was it? Square root of 2g into h. So one equation, one unknown, we can solve this. Okay. And one more important point to be noted here is I could use this formula because the top portion is also exposed to atmosphere. So here also the pressure is atmospheric pressure. Here also it is atmospheric pressure. Only then you can use it. So 10 power minus 4 cancels it out. Meter cube per second. So meter square is gone. So 2gh is also equal to 1, which implies h is equal to how much, guys? 1 by 20. 1 by 20, something around 0.05 meter or 5 centimeter. Is there any answer which is close to 5? 5.1 is there. Okay, so that's the answer. They got it as 5.1 because they took the value of G as 9.8. I hope it is easy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please make a note of it. Let me know once you're done. Moving on to the next one. So can you guys try this? The top of water tank is open to air, which is very important information for us. So it is, the pressure at the top is atmospheric pressure and its water level is maintained. Again, it's a similar problem. It is giving out 0.74 meter cube water per minute. You have to be careful with this. So 0.74 meter cube water per minute through a circular opening of 2 centimeter radius in its wall. The depth of the center of the opening from the level of water in the tank is close to. Okay, it's a direct one. It's only one step. Tell me, guys, what you tell me the equation.
.74 is equal to
It is not 0.74 alone. You missed something.
by 60,
Point,
sir.
yes, by 60. Because we are trying to convert everything in terms of
Seconds.
SI unit. Yeah. dV by dt should be equal to A2 into, it's a similar problem. It's A2 into V2, A2 into,
Into root 2 GH.
that's it. Okay, only difference is in the previous problem A2 was given, here it is radius. Since it's circular, pi r square. So dV by dt is 0.74 divided by 60 is equal to A2 will be pi into r
4
square.
into 10 power minus 4.
That's right. Into square root of 2 into, they told it's close to, no? Let's take it as 10 itself. Because no answer is close by, no? 4.86. No answer is close by. We'll get an approximate one into h. Can you guys solve it fast and let me know?
So can you show the question?
Yeah. calculation will take some time. You can do it later. But I hope you understood the concept. No? We'll move on to the next one. So the answer that is given is 4.8. You can check it out. Next. Water is filled in a cylindrical container to a height of 3 meters. The ratio of the cross-sectional area of the orifice and the beaker is 0.1. Okay. The square of the speed of the liquid coming out from the orifice is. So here, another important point that is given. Water is filled in a cylindrical container to a height of 3 meters. Okay. Tell me how to solve this. The ratio of the cross-sectional area, so this is an important point. Ratio of the cross-sectional area of the orifice and the beaker is 0.1. So if you take this to be the top surface, if I take this as A2 and this as A1, what have they given? A1 by A2 is equal to how much? It is 0.1. Here, they ask the square of the speed of the liquid coming out of the orifice. Can I use the formula root 2 GH and square it and tell that is the answer? See, when we see an orifice, the speed of the liquid column is, the speed of the efflux is root 2 GH, right? So they're asking the square of it. So root 2 GH, the whole square is equal to question mark. So that's the answer, right?
Yes, sir.
Right?
Sir, but here like A1 is like only 10 times only smaller than A2. It's comparable.
So here, you cannot use that. Don't do that mistake, because what is the condition under which we got root 2 GH? We assumed that the velocity of this column is approximately 0, and that happened because A1 by A2 was approximately 0. Here it is not 0, here it is 0.1. So we have no other option other than framing an equation for this question. So what are we supposed to do? I hope you understood, guys. Varun, as you told, so what Varun told is right. Be careful, guys. I hope everyone is able to understand, right? So here, don't use this formula, because this formula was derived under what conditions? You need to have the derivation in your mind. Under what conditions was it derived? One is the speed of the top surface is approximately 0, because its area of cross section is very big compared to the size of the orifice. And orifice means the opening. Secondly, it should be exposed to the atmosphere. Here it is exposed to both the sides are open to the atmosphere. Right? So how to frame the equation, guys? Tell me. Same thing. P2 plus P2 means top surface. Okay, concentrate. Half rho V2 square plus rho G into how much should I write?
3 meters.
That's right. Rho G into 3 will be equal to P1 is how much? So that is P1 plus half rho V1 square plus rho G into
52.5.
that is in centimeter. Be careful. Here it is in meter. 0.525. Okay. So in this question, fortunately, P2 is equal to P1 gets cancelled. So half rho into, let's see what we can do. So they have asked V1, no? This liquid coming out from the orifice. So let me take V1 as common point. Half rho into V1 square minus V2 square is equal to rho G into 3 minus 0.525. So rho is also getting cancelled. So if I take out V1 square outside, this will be equal to 2G into whatever is this, 3 minus 0.525. I'll call it as H. Okay. Divided by 1 minus V2 square by V1 square. Accepted. So what I did on the left hand side is I took out V1 square outside. It is 1 minus V2 square by V1 square. This whole thing went to the other side as denominator. right, guys? So it is 2GH divided by this value. But how can I write V2 and V1 in terms of A1 and A2? We know that V and A are inversely proportional. So this will be how much? 2GH divided by 1 minus A1 by A2 the whole square. But A1 and A2 is already given to us 0.1. So right hand side everything is known. Left hand side is the square of speed. So you're going to get the answer directly. Okay. Shall I move on? You guys try this. A large tank open has two holes in the wall. One is a square hole of side L at a depth y from the top, and the other is a circular hole of radius r at a depth 4y from the top. When the tank is completely filled with water, the quantities of water flowing out per second from both the holes are the same. Then R is equal to what? What do you mean by quantities of water? Quantity is a measure of what parameter? So when they say quantity, it is volume. The amount of volume of water flowing out per second from both the holes are the same, then the value of capital R is equal to what? How to proceed? So what is the keyword here, guys? Volume of water flowing out per second means what? Again, it is product of,
Area and velocity.
that's it, area and velocity. So A square into velocity of square is equal to area of circle into velocity of circle. Okay. Fortunately, in this question, they are given as the depth. So what is the area of a square in terms of L? L square into what will be the volume of the liquid that is coming out of the square orifice in terms of depth y? Square root of square root of
2GY.
That's right. 2GY is equal to, complete the equation, is equal to pi r square, but that is the area of the circle, into root of 2g into 4y. They've asked us the value of r. So 2g will get cancelled, y will get cancelled. So square root of 4 is 2. So L square by 2 pi is equal to r square, which implies r will be equal to L divided by square root of 2 pi. All right. Should I move on to the next one? So consider a horizontally oriented syringe containing water located at a height of 1.25 centimeter above the ground. The diameter of the plunger is 8 millimeter, that is a piston, and the diameter of the nozzle is 2 millimeter. The plunger is pushed with a constant speed of 0.25 meter per second. Find the horizontal range of the water stream on the ground. They're asking the horizontal range. How far from this point will this go and hit the surface? This range is equal to what? So if you observe, this problem is a combination of what all concepts? Okay. You guys think and tell me how to do this problem. So what idea comes to your mind?
A projectile motion.
Yes, it is projectile motion. But before I proceed with the projectile motion, what am I supposed to do? Why have they given all these dimensions to us?
To find the velocity with which it's projected.
Yes. So if you know the velocity with which the liquid is coming out, okay, then what formula can be used to find out the range here? So Varun, you told me projectile motion. So what formula am I supposed to use? Range is equal to
2v sin theta by g.
u square sine 2 theta divided by g. This is the formula actually. Right? Can I use this? So R is equal to u square sine 2 theta divided by g. Right? But tell me, what will be the angle of projection in this case? The liquid is coming out. The liquid is coming out horizontally. Then what is going to be the angle made by the velocity component at the end of the nozzle with respect to its initial projection? You're able to see here. Is there any doubt? Is there anyone who's not able to understand? I'm trying to think. Okay, I'm trying to ask questions. But then we will be able to solve this question. No? Tell me, what is the angle of projection in this case? Theta is equal to?
Sir, 90?
It is 0 degrees. Right? Angle is always measured with the tangential component of the velocity with its direction, with the horizontal. Right? So, if the object is projected like this, if this is taken as theta, this will be u cos theta, this will be u sin theta. You will get the formula of range as u square sine 2 theta by g. Correct, Ada? So that's what I used. R is equal to u square sine 2 theta by g. But unfortunately, if I put theta is equal to 0 here, sine 0 is 0, then the range value is equal to 0. So what mistake am I doing? But clearly it is visible that the range is not 0 because it has a horizontal component of velocity. What mistake am I doing?
Sir, it's not the same acceleration, projectile you're assuming.
It is acceleration has nothing to do with that. I'll be clear with that. Acceleration has nothing to do because they didn't mention about any medium. This liquid is falling only under the influence of gravity. Nothing else is there. There is no confusion in that. But there is a mistake when I use this formula. Can you tell me what mistake I made? Why am I not supposed to use the formula here? Why can't I use it?
Sir,
Yes.
that formula is only for when you throw it from with an angle, no, sir. Like
Throw
not
it
from
with
a
a.
height.
I'm able to understand. You be more specific. You're almost there. How did we derive this formula? It is derived when an object is projected from the ground. Correct? Huh?
Yes, sir.
When it is projected from the ground, when this is the formula, you cannot use it when the object is projected from a certain height. Okay. So if that is the case, can't we solve this problem? Is there any other way we can solve this problem? I would have told you in projectile motion, there is one thing that you can use for any of the problems that you save your time, especially with respect to distances. There is one important expression which I would have told, a relation between x and y. What is this? Y is equal to x tan theta minus gx square by 2u square cos square theta. Means if I am able to take the initial point of projection as origin, then I can take the coordinates of this point as x comma y, and it is easy for me to frame the equation. Right? Only difference is it is going to be in the fourth quadrant. So x comma minus y is the coordinate. Guys, are you able to understand? Here the concept that I'm discussing is not specific to this problem. It's already given, it's already done. They're not going to ask the same thing again. Suppose the same problem comes in electrostatics. Suppose the same problem comes in magnetism. That is from your 12th standard. You should be able to apply this concept. Are you guys able to think? Are you guys able to understand what I'm trying to say? Is this clear? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. I'm proceeding now. See. So if I have to use this formula for the concept of range, where the angle of projection is 0 degrees, I'm very much happy because when I substitute 0 here, tan 0 component is going to become 0, which is going to make my calculation even more simpler. And cos 0 is 1. So can I directly use this equation and solve this problem? Again, the answer is no, because I have y. Y is 1.25 in the negative direction. So I can substitute minus, concentrate guys, minus 1.25 is equal to 0 minus g into x square divided by what is missing in my hand. X is what I need to find. X, if I take it as r, then I'll call it as r square, the range which they are expecting, into cos square 0 degrees. The initial velocity is missing. How do I find it?
A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2.
Yes. Use it, calculate and tell me. So A1 V1, that is pi into capital D square divided by 4 pi r square into what is the speed with which the piston is pushed. It is pushed with a speed of 0.25 is equal to pi into small d square divided by 4 into, I need to calculate the speed here. So pi by 4 gets cancelled. D square, na, how much is it? It is 64. I'm not converting it to meter because both the sides it is in millimeter. 0.25 is 1 by 4 is equal to d square. 4 into u. This will cancel 16 and this will be 4. So u is equal to 4. If I take and substitute it here, minus 1.25 is how much? It is 5 by 4. Minus 5 by 4 is equal to minus 10 into r square divided by 2 into u square. U square is 16.
Sir,
2
but
times.
1.25 is taken in meters, no, sir?
Here it is okay. Da. See, here I didn't convert. See, d square, here also d square. Here I didn't convert it because millimeter would have got cancelled.
Oh, okay, sir.
Yes. But this 0.25 is what is going to give you meter per second. That is why this is 4 meter per second only. So 4 times. So r square is equal to 4, which implies r is equal to 2 meter. Is it a numerical problem? Yeah. So it is 2 meter. Got it, guys? So liquid will fall at a distance of 2 meters.
Sir, on the x tan theta minus gx square 2u square by
Yeah.
2,
So,
அது எப்போ
Ama.
நான் use பண்ணுவேன் sir?
Projectile, wherever you see a parabolic path, you can use it, irrespective of where the object is projected from. But when you're using this, you need to be very careful about which point you're choosing it as origin. Okay. So,
Sir,
for
here
example,
which,
if you see, I
uh,
took, tell me,
yeah, which did we take as origin?
I took this as origin. I generally take initial point as origin. It is not necessary the only this point has to be origin. I can take the bottommost point also as origin.
Oh, okay, sir.
So for example, let me clear your doubt. If suppose I'm solving the same problem like this, okay, this is the opening, there is the orifice from which the liquid is coming out. In this case, I took the point from where the liquid is coming out, that is the point orifice as the origin. That point is clear, right? Why I got minus y? Because if I take that as the origin, then I will imagine 4 quadrants, and the point is in the 4th quadrant. That is why I used minus 1.25. I hope that is clear. Are the clear idea?
Yes, sir.
Now you want me to take some other point as origin. Now you tell me what I'm supposed to do. For example, suppose I take this as origin. Okay, this is r and this is y. Then I will construct the 4 quadrants here. So with respect to the 4 quadrants, correct? With respect to the 4 quadrants, this point is in which quadrant?
Which point, sir?
The orifice, the black color dot.
Fourth quadrant.
If I take this as origin, look at the 4 coordinates. I took the point where it is hitting the ground as origin. Then this point is in which quadrant? The blue color points here.
Oh, second quadrant.
It is second quadrant. Then what will be the coordinates? Minus r comma y. If you want, you use the same thing and see you will get the same answer.
Okay, புரியுது sir, புரியுது.
Okay, so depending on origin, because this is only a mathematical formula. This is max actually. Y is equal to x tan theta minus gx square by 2s q square cos square theta is actually not physics. It is max because you are using the word equation. It is equation of projectile. To be more specific, it is a parabolic equation that you are writing. All of that. That is only a difference. Okay. So if you want, you can try out few more problems from projectile motion using this concept today and see. If you have any doubt, you can let me know. Okay, shall I proceed? Till here, I hope it was simple. Okay. Just give me a minute. Let me check if there are any more problems. So there's the one we did now, the 11th one. Non-viscous. Let's do one thing. Let's try out the 13th problem. Okay. After 13th, I'll go to the next set. So try this. So there is a large open top container of negligible mass and uniform cross-sectional area A, has a small hole of cross-sectional area A by 100 in its side wall near the bottom. Okay, the container is kept on a smooth horizontal plane. Okay, smooth horizontal plane. The container is kept on a smooth horizontal floor and contains a liquid of density rho and mass m0. Assuming that the liquid starts flowing out horizontally through the hole at t is equal to 0, the acceleration of the container is how much? Let's first think of why the container is actually supposed to accelerate. Let's think. No? There's a good problem actually. Can you guys tell me how to proceed? So first collect all the data. Tell me what is missing.
We need to find V, sir. Velocity with which it comes out.
Velocity with which the water is coming out. So what is the formula for velocity? They are told open top container. So hole is also opened. Open top means velocity is root of 2gh, a known fact. Can we directly use this formula here?
No, sir.
Because
A and A by 100 could be.
sorry.
A and A by 100 is comparable, no, sir.
Okay, you're telling it like that. Okay.
Yeah. So V2 will not be 0, no.
Need not be that. See, they told. See, the difference is you can actually use this formula when they have not given any comparative study between A1 and A2. Okay. So in this problem, what happened? I'll tell you. I am able to understand why you're thinking like that. In this problem, they told A1 by A2 is 0.1. They are specific that 0.1 has to be there. But in this problem, it is not specific. So you can actually use speed of reflex as root of 2gh itself. Okay. So you'll get all the answers in terms of m0, rho, a, and all those things. Here you can approximate.
sir.
Edra?
Yes, sir. They have given A1 by 8.
Where have they told A1 by 8? See, when I'm trying to say, in this problem, they were specific. The ratio of cross-sectional area, they have been specific. Okay, well, they have not given it, then they are expecting you that then they are fine that you can use root 2gh. though it is only going to be an approximate answer to make things simple. Avladhaan solren. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. So let me draw a diagram and explain. So what is missing? If I use this formula, for me to use this formula directly, what is missing in my hand?
H is missing.
Sorry?
H is missing, sir.
H is missing. So how do I find H in terms of the given parameters? So here, unlike other problem, there is an important part that is given and contains a liquid of density rho and mass m naught. Means the total mass of the liquid that is present inside is how much? It is m naught. So how can I write m naught in terms of density and volume? Density into volume. Can I write it like this? So density is rho. So what is the volume of the liquid that is present in this in terms of area of cross section A? Assume that this hole is not there. Is it not area into H? Oh, I have taken the height as capital H. Okay, area into H. So what will be the value of capital H? It will be m naught divided by rho into A. So what will be the velocity with which the liquid is coming out here? It will be root of 2g into m naught divided by rho into A. Okay. So once I get this value, what do they mean by acceleration of the container? Can someone explain this? What are they trying to say by acceleration of the container? See, when can something accelerate? When can an object accelerate? You need to ask this question.
Forces.
Forces are. So here, when the liquid is coming out with a speed v, and there is a decrease in mass also, isn't there a momentum acting in this direction? Right. So due to this momentum, the liquid here will start getting recoiled. The container will get recoiled and will start experiencing a force. How much is that force going to be? That is, so if you find that force and divide it with the total mass of the liquid column that is present in the initial phase, that is going to give us the acceleration at t is equal to 0. Because they told at t is equal to 0. So how do I find that force? You have to use only dimensional variables and tell me. See, like how I did density, mass is density into volume. Think in terms of those parameters. So what is the force acting on the container?
Rate of change of momentum.
Yes. So force, if you want me to take it as rate of change of momentum. Delta P by delta T. Okay. So I will take it as M into, tell me, M into delta V by delta T. But here what is happening? The mass is also variable. So since they are asking the acceleration at the instantaneous value, I am assuming that the total mass is instant, right? There is no decrease of mass initially, right? So I'm going to think, how can I write force in terms of mass and acceleration? So how do I write force in terms of mass? So mass is how much here? Mass is equal to, can I write it as density into volume? Guys, are you able to understand? Into acceleration, can I write it as velocity by time. Right. Now see what I'm going to do. This volume divided by time is going to give me what? Volume by time is the rate at which the liquid is coming out. What is it actually? It is
Product
Area
of area and velocity.
yes, area of hole into velocity. Velocity with which the liquid is coming out into its velocity. And remember, it is because of the velocity of the liquid that is coming out from the hole, it is actually getting recoiled. So, can I write this as density into area of hole into velocity square? Right, this is actually a good problem. Can make a note of this. So, what is the value of density? Density is given in the problem. Area of the hole, it is capital A divided by 100. That is also given. What is the velocity square? This value. That is 2g m naught divided by rho into A. A and A will get cancelled. This will go 50 times. Rho is also gone. So it will be m naught g divided by 50. This is the force. If I write this force is equal to m naught into acceleration, m naught gets cancelled. So acceleration is g divided by 50. Please make a note of this point. Clear? They're asking the velocity of the efflux when 75% of the liquid has drained out. Can you guys do this? So when there was a liquid of height h, okay, when there was a liquid of height h, what was the velocity of the efflux? It was root of 2g into m naught divided by rho a. That is 2g m naught divided by rho a whole under a root. Now, when the 75% of the liquid has got drained out, then what will be the height of the liquid column now? See, when they say 75% of the liquid, are they trying to talk about height or volume?
volumes.
It is actually the volume they're trying to speak about. But why am I concentrating only on height? Because the volume for this particular problem is area of cross section multiplied with height. Right? So when the liquid column has fallen down to this value also, the area of cross section is going to be the same. So what can I conclude? The volume is directly proportional to the height. So what is the only change you're going to do? That part is actually easy. They're asking what is going to be the speed of the efflux when 75% of the liquid has drained out. Guys, it's very simple. You have a water can at house, right? When you keep a can on the top of it, you get a can from outside, right? You will have a small dispenser at the bottom, right? You will have a dispenser at the bottom to which a tap will be connected, from where water will come out. On top of which there will be some. On top of which you will have a water can like this. Okay, something like this. When the can is completely filled, okay, when you turn on the tap, will the speed of the water be more or less when it is getting filled in your water, in your bottle? Or you can think of an RO also, whatever it is. When you try to fill it in your bottle, when the can at the top is going to be completely full, and it is going to be completely filled, will the speed of the liquid that is coming out from the dispenser, is it going to be more or less?
More.
Why? Because there is more pressure acting on the liquid. The water that is coming out from the dispenser is what is efflux in this case. So in a similar context only, so when the liquid column is going to get decreased, when it comes inside the dispenser, sometimes you'll have to bend it and then pour it into a water can. Have you ever done that? Sometimes it will be somewhere close to the tap at the bottom. Then you'll have to bend it and pour. If you see the speed at which it will get filled is very less. Right? That is what is going to happen, because more liquid, more pressure, and more is the speed. So here it is going to get decreased. So what is the change that we need to make here? H by 4 will be equal to m naught divided by 4 times rho a. So the speed of the efflux will be root of 2g into h by 4. That is m naught divided by 4 times rho a. This is going to be the speed when it is 75% empty. That is 75% of the initial amount is lost. Guys, are you clear with this question or not?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let's try one last problem. So you guys try this. Okay, it has nothing to do with the concepts that we have learned till now. It is, you have to think in terms of the question itself. The liquid of density rho is coming out of a hose pipe of radius A with a horizontal speed V, and it hits a mesh. 50% of the liquid passes through the mesh unaffected, and 25% loses all its momentum, and 25% comes back with the same speed. The resultant pressure on the mesh will be how much? How to proceed? Now tell me, you have to think in terms of reverse. They're asking what is the resultant pressure on the mesh. Can someone explain this question to me? Why is there a pressure being exerted? You can explain in terms of mathematics or in terms of physics also. Tell me. So what is it we have discussed about pressure till now? The basic idea of pressure tells us. So what is the basic definition of pressure? That's enough.
Force per unit area.
It is the force per unit area. They're asking the net pressure. If I calculate the net force that is acting on the mesh, I hope you understood this, right? Mesh is something like this. It's a wired, you can think of it like a wire gauge. Okay. On this mesh, there is water falling. Let's say 10 drops of water are falling. 5 drops of water are passing through the mesh unaffected. Means their velocity is not changing. That is the meaning of unaffected. Correct? 25% loses all its momentum, in the sense what? It is hitting the mesh and it is stopping there. And 25% comes back with the same speed. Means with whatever speed it is going and hitting, it is getting rebound with the same speed. Guys, are you clear with these 3 points?
Yes, sir.
Right? You see, like how do I make use of the information that they have given to us in terms of force? That's what we need to think of. Now I'm sticking to the basic argument. So force tells me that it is change in rate of change of linear momentum. That's what it is telling me. Right? So when force is going to be the rate of change of linear momentum, what is the force exerted by the 50% of the liquid that is going undeflected? So force, observe how I'm going to write. Right. So what is the force that is acting? Force is the rate of change of linear momentum. Okay. So since they have used the word same speed here and one is going with the same speed, so liquid, 50% of the liquid is going with the same speed, correct? And 25% is coming to rest, means its velocity is becoming zero. And the 25% is rebounding with the same speed. So here, which parameter is responsible for the momentum to change? So linear momentum depends on two quantities, mass and velocity. My question is, out of the mass and velocity, which parameter is actually responsible for the momentum to change?
Velocity.
Here it is not velocity, here it is mass. Correct? So it will be V into dm by dt. This is what I'm trying to say. So here it is an example of variable mass. It is not an example of variable velocity. Because the percentage of the liquid is getting divided. The mass, see, 100% mass is falling, out of which 50% is doing nothing. 25% of the mass is losing its energy and 25% is rebounding. So there, variable mass is actually hitting the mesh and it is creating the pressure on the mesh. Guys, are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now my task is, how do I find the net force? So net force is exerted by whom? Is it by the 50% or the 25% or by the remaining 25%? Tell me what are all the quantities that are actually contributing to the force. So if something has to, I'm giving you a hint, listen to it carefully. If something has to contribute to force, so according to this problem, if there is a non-zero force acting, then there is a non-zero pressure also acting because area has nothing to do in this problem. Area will get eliminated. Look at the options also. There is no area. So your answer should be only in terms of rho and B. Okay, I'm giving you the hint. Listen to it carefully. Force will get exerted on a particular substance only if there is a change in linear momentum. Out of the 50, 25 and the third 25, the second 25, which is causing the change of momentum?
Second and third 25%.
The first 50% has nothing, no change of momentum because it is going undeviated. Means no change in momentum. Whatever momentum with which it hit, the final momentum is also same. So change in momentum is zero. The second 25%, what is happening? There is a change in momentum because initially it had speed. After hitting the mesh, it stopped. So there is a change in momentum. What about the third one? Initially it hit with velocity v and it is rebounding with the velocity of minus v. Correct? It is rebounding with the same speed v and it is rebounding with the same speed minus v. Correct? So is there a change in momentum? Yes. The change in momentum, rather than change in momentum, I can say the change in velocity that has happened is 2v. Now I need to start thinking for what I need to do for this dm by dt in terms of density and speed. You guys tell me what I'm supposed to do. Okay, so I need to find dm by dt. Let me think in this terms. So mass is equal to density into volume. Correct? Correct? Mass is density into volume. That's what we used in the previous problem also. But I don't need mass. I need dm by dt. So I'm differentiating on both the sides. Dm by dt is equal to, if I observe, there are two quantities, density and volume. Out of these two, which one is changing for the liquid? It is the amount of substance that is hitting the surface, right? So rho into, can I write it as dV by dt? But till now we were discussing what is the rate at which the liquid is. So what is the rate of flow of liquid called as? How can I write dV by
Area
dt?
into velocity.
Very good. I can write it as area into velocity. Correct? So that is area into velocity. So that is dm by dt, where m is the total mass of the substance. Correct? So dm by dt is equal to rho into a into v. So the 25% of the liquid losing momentum will cause a force of how much value? It will be 1/4 of dm by dt. Correct? Are you able to understand this point? Why I wrote 1/4? Because 25% is 1/4. 1/4 of dm by dt into what is the change in speed of that particular liquid? The first 25% liquid which is losing its momentum. Initially it had velocity v, finally it has a velocity of 0. Guys, are you able to understand? Any doubt?
Slightly feebler இருக்கு சார் உங்க voice.
Sorry, புரியல. என்னது?
Your voice becomes feeble at times, sir.
Feeble, okay. Which point you want me to repeat?
சார் நீங்க ஃபர்ஸ்ட்ல இருந்து கொஞ்சம் சொல்றீங்களா ப்ளீஸ்?
எது ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இருந்தடே பெரிய ப்ராப்ளம்டா இது.
இல்ல அது இல்ல சார், லைக் ஒரு லைக் லிட்டர் 30 செகண்ட்ஸ் முன்னாடில இருந்து சொன்னது.
Okay, நான் என்ன சொல்றேன், you need to calculate the pressure. So they're asking the resultant pressure. Now resultant pressure is the net force divided by the area. That is what I'm trying to say. If எனக்கு net force வேணும்னா, since they are speaking in terms of momentum, I'm trying to write force in terms of momentum. Force is, according to Newton's second law, it is rate of change of linear momentum. So in this problem, the momentum is changing because of the change in mass, because the mass is getting divided into three parts: 50%, 25%, and 25%. So each mass is contributing for different amount of momentum depending on the condition that they are given. Okay, wow. So then what I did is I tried to write mass in terms of density and volume. So if I differentiate both the sides with respect to time, then dm by dt is equal to rho into dv by dt. So dv by dt is what? Area into velocity, because it is the rate of flow of a liquid. From here, what I'm trying to say is, they told 25% of the liquid is losing momentum. So 25%, now 1/4 of the total mass dm by dt is losing its momentum. Means it fell down with a velocity of v and hit the surface and came to rest. That is what is by meaning of losing its momentum. So that's why I wrote it as v. So f1 is how much? 1/4 into dm by dt. It is rho into a into v into v. So that will be 1/4 of rho into a into v square. Let this be equation number 1. Now you people tell me, what will be the effect of this 25% of the liquid whose speed is changing, whose direction of speed is changing? (25% rebounds with same speed. So what is the force exerted by this liquid column? It is 1/4 of dm by dt into, what should I write for the case, in the case of velocity? What should I write in the case of velocity, guys?
2v.
It is very good, because it is falling down with velocity v and is rebounding with the same velocity v. So the change in velocity that is taking place is 2 times v. So how much is this? 1/4 of, or 1/2 times dm by dt, that is rho a v square. Half into rho a v square. This is equation number 2. The remaining 50% we need not worry, because it is not contributing to the force. So what is going to be the net force, guys? 1/4 times rho a v square plus 1/2 times rho a v square. Net force is 3/4 times rho a v square. That is 75%. Then what will be the pressure? 3/4 rho a v square divided by a. Guys, clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So it is 3/4 of rho v square. That is the net pressure experienced by the mesh. So it's a very good problem. I suggest you guys to practice it again. If there is any doubt, you can reach out to me. Okay, try to do it on your own. If you get stuck, try to look at the solution. Still you don't understand, you can definitely approach me. I'll clear it off. Okay. So this is all about fluid dynamics. So the topics that are left out in this chapter are surface tension. See, that is again a slightly tricky concept. So be careful. Revise all these things. It is then you will understand. Okay. Listen. So just wait for a minute.